Unsung Heroes podcast on mental health with you today, Will. So thank you for joining us today, of course. Um, I've been given the privilege to take the lead for today's episode. I'm
Yeah.
normally co-host with Luca. Today just been given the lead. So it is your episode to talk about your experiences, Will.
Okay.
Of course, if there's anything that you'd like to mention or not mention, feel free just to let us know, yeah?
Cool.
So mental health, it's a very important topic because we know it's more common than we realise, and it can affect us in so many ways, really, can't it?
Yeah.
Um, it's as I've realised, it's okay to not be okay as
Yeah.
life has taken over. But I look back and think, wow, at some of the experiences myself. You know, it's important that you open up to peers, people around that you can trust, don't you think?
Yeah. Definitely. I think because I know in the UK and Scotland and stuff like that, there's a lot of preconceptions about the whole you've got to be macho and be strong and keep things to yourself, and because of that, it makes people not want to open up about things, especially guys.
No, I totally agree with you on that. I think there's that burden, isn't there? There's that sort of feeling inside, like I can't open up because I'm a male. There's that sort of, s- there is that stigma out there, but
Yeah.
it's trying to get, there is, it is getting out there more now, isn't it? It's getting more recognised, mental health.
Yeah, definitely. It's not as taboo as what it used to be. Um, it's more in the forefront of people's minds now, especially in places like employment and stuff like that, and the health services. They're starting to do more on it. But the suicide rates and stuff like that are still climbing up. I think the last time I looked, it was like 75%, something crazy like that in the UK. Here in Greece, I asked about it. It's like 11%.
Blimey,
It's
that
like
is a high
crazy.
percentage, isn't it?
Yeah, crazy difference. Crazy. I think it's because the way life is here, and you get obviously so much sun. I know in the part of Greece I'm in, everything's very laid back and very chilled and easy going. So from going from Scotland, Glasgow, and UK, it's just 1,000 miles an hour, getting
Yes.
bombarded with stuff to here, and it's like night and day.
No, I totally. Well, I can appreciate what you're saying, and I think this is it. I mean, I have had some mental health experiences myself. There's, anxiety that can drive up. There's depression. Um, but I mean, you're here to tell us your story. So, can you introduce to the listeners, please, a bit about your story, please?
Okay, so my name's William, William Donnelly Antonopoulos. I took on my biological father's name, who's Demetrius Antonopoulos. I'd spent probably near enough best part of all my life, 24 years. I'm now 42. Spent 22 years, 24 years looking for him and trying to find my biological mother as well, because I was adopted from a very, very young age. So growing up was kind of complicated at times. Um, Dealt with a lot of bullying going through school, high school, a lot of bullying. Um, Also, like teens and even in my adulthood, bullying and stuff like that. Didn't really know where I fitted in. Uh, just probably the same thing everyone goes through, but with me, it seemed a bit more intense. So it did. And also I have the thinking that I'm also undiagnosed with ADHD and Asperger's as well. Because
Right.
sometimes I say things that are inappropriate without actually meaning to. It's just like I don't have a filter and it just goes, bleh. Um, and it gets me into trouble a lot, to
Shit.
say the least. Yeah.
So,
Um,
can I just ask you on that with, for listeners and that obviously ADHD, attention deficit hyperactive, is it?
yeah, yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
like, at times I'm bouncing off the walls, uh,
Yep.
and then other times I've just got no energy. Um, I stay in bed, I can't get out of bed, uh, or my attention span just isn't there unless it's one thing that I'm actually really interested in, like this sort
Yep.
of thing. Um, Whereas if somebody said to me, "Go and do the dishes," I'm like,
Mm.
"I'll leave it for
Okay.
later."
Yeah, so with, Asperger's, how does that impact you on an everyday
Uh,
basis?
I think with the Asperger's thing, it's more to do with social cues and stuff like that.
Yep.
Um, like I can tell someone's feeling down and stuff like that. I'm a bit of an empath that way. But when I'm talking, sometimes I'll say things like I was saying, like someone could say something, and right away I'll just go straight into like an innuendo without even thinking. Like something will come flying out my mouth. I'm like, shit, did I say that? Whoops.
Yeah.
Or I'll offend somebody, and I don't do it deliberate. Um, and I'm trying to catch it and be on the ball with it, but it's so hard. It's so hard to catch it. And people say, "Oh, you do that deliberate," and it's like it's it's the way I am. I don't do things deliberate. I just blurt things out without realizing
Comes
before it's too late.
naturally. Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. Mm. So, I mean, we're going into different stages, like, going through the timeline, if you like. So your early life, if you're happy to open up, with your
No, that's
upbringing,
fine.
how would you describe it?
Um, I would say my upbringing was actually I was lucky. I got a really good family. Um, they fostered me from when was it? I think I was about 8 months old. They fostered me. So I didn't go through the care system, which I was very lucky with, because I know quite a lot of people that's been through the care system and they've not had the good side of life, put it that way. Um, and then they've either went into drugs or crime or worse. But I was very lucky with the family that took me in, adopted me. They were very caring, very loving. And then when I hit my teen years, I got to a stage where I was like, well, sometimes I'd be like, well, you're not my father, you're not my mother, fuck off type thing. But I think that's just something that's natural when you're going through that whole process when you're growing up.
Yes.
Um, Psychologically wise, um, I remember when I was young, I'd be crying every night. Um, I don't know if they knew or didn't know. I'd be crying myself to sleep every night, um, upset, and then they'd be like, "Well, my mum, my dad doesn't want me, blah 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 blah. So this family wants me, right? Okay, there must be something up with me if my own family doesn't want me." And then, obviously, later on when I found my father, I found out that he didn't actually know about me. Um, that was like last year, actually. No, the year before last year.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's been absolute. This year's been crazy. Like from May last year, um, and the year before, just been absolute bonkers. The way
Yeah,
things
I
have
can
happened.
understand as well at the time it must feel that it's been quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
I get
Even
that.
now, like I can't believe I've managed to find them. I'm like, wow. They've got like two beautiful half sisters. I'm like, holy shit,
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, it's I know it might sound like a common sense question, common sense answer, but what was your feelings during that time?
When I was younger, yeah,
Yeah.
um, I had quite a lot of loneliness, um, and I didn't really feel that I fitted in or belonged anywhere. Um, like in my group of friends that I had and still have to a certain degree. Um, Sometimes even now, I still don't feel I fit in or belong there. Or why am I here type thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Um, but that's just a kickback from going through all that when I was younger. And then obviously with the bullying and stuff like that, like something I actually picked up on near the start of the podcast you had about yourself, about the teachers bullying you. I had
Yep.
something similar myself. Um, what was it? Mrs. Yoon. Shout out Mrs. Yoon if you watch this. um, I was. They thought I was very disruptive when I
Right.
was at school, and it wasn't. I was very disruptive. It just nothing really interested me unless it was
Yep.
sport. Um, and I'd be in my own wee dream world at times, looking out windows and going, "Oh, there's a bird!" Whee! Um, and then I put my hand up to go to the toilet and stuff like that, and then the teacher would be like, "No, you can't go." And I'm like, "But I really need to go." And then an hour later, put it up again, and they're like, "No." And
Yeah.
she just really picked on me. She just wouldn't let me do certain things like go to the toilet and that. Um,
And how
and
old was you at
the
this stage, if you
selfish.
don't mind me asking?
Oh, I was in primary four at the time,
Right. Yep.
so I was. Um, Primary school was probably hard for me, so it was because I got kicked out in primary four, all because of her. And then primary five and six, I missed. I was kind of home taught, and I went to other schools as well. And then another school took me, blood hardy primary, and I was in there for primary seven. Then I went to high school, lasted in one high school for 4 years. Is it 4 years? S4? Yeah, S4 I got to. And
Yeah.
then I ended up in another school because I got kicked out there. I missed S5, part of S5, and then I ended up in S6. And then I was given the choice I can leave, or get kicked out.
Oh,
Or I could leave. Yeah, so
yeah.
the writing was on the wall type thing. So it
Bless you.
was.
So, with that in that time, particularly with that teacher, I mean, I like as we're saying, can relate to each other on that front. When you're at that age, though, and you're starting to find your feet, it sort of deprives you from that independence that you're trying to find in your feet and try and
Yeah,
grow as a person. Did you
yeah,
feel that you
definitely.
felt really, I don't know, deprived of your dignity and very deprived of your independence in that respect?
Well, looking back at it now, right, people think primary school, nursery schools to learn certain skills. Yes, it is, but the main function of nursery school is to get you to start to talk and
Yeah,
intermingling with people. Um, Primary school is to teach you of how to actually properly communicate. That's the purpose of primary school. And then secondary school is more about how you're meant to behave in work life, that sort
yeah,
of thing. So it's like you're funneled into that way of thinking.
yeah,
Um, and I was probably through, oh, my wee Russian guy popping up there, my mic, um, through probably fault of my own with the way I was, to a degree, I probably deprived myself of that because I know that once I got into high school, I lost interest in learning, really, to be honest,
yeah,
because I was getting bullied a lot. Um, and I was just interested in sports and watching films and stuff like that. If I found something was too hard, I wouldn't be interested because I knew within myself, right, well, no matter how hard I try this, I won't be able to do it.
mm,
If I'd done something I knew I could do, and I knew, right, okay, if I worked at that a wee bit longer, I know I'd be able to manage it. But deep within myself, if I knew, no, I'll never be able to do this, just I lost interest.
yeah.
So it made things hard at times, like really hard.
I can totally understand that and empathise with you. in them times, all you need, I suppose, again, when you're still very young, you need that arm around the shoulder saying everything will
Yeah,
be okay. You know, don't
no, definitely.
try not to stress out. Everything will work out in the end. Um, that's how I used to feel better. Um, with yourself, would you have felt if you had that sort of approach to you? Would you have felt like more confident in yourself? Do you feel?
Definitely, I think because I was at school in the 90s, and then obviously part of the 80s is in primary school, so they didn't have the understanding for kids psychologically and stuff like that, and different behavioural aspects, different parts of autism and that. So they didn't have the understanding. Um, don't get me wrong, when I went to high school, there was a couple of teachers who were very supportive of me.
Mhm.
Um, they understood the way I was, and they helped me out a great deal and helped get me to do things and helped me get interested in things, which was great. Um, excuse me. But if people knew back then, I'd probably be a lot better off in life than what I am now.
Yeah.
Will it be job wise, financially, mentally, or whatever the case was? I wasn't. I didn't feel I was looking back that I was prepared to deal with life and what it
Yes.
threw at me. Um, so it was very difficult growing up, especially when I was a teenager, because
Yeah. I think
you're
it
coming
is
into
a
hormones and
transforming
stuff. Yeah,
hormones, and then you're going into adult life, aren't you?
yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's going back still to y- uh, young Will here. Um, can you really remember any memories that stand out from as a child that when you was really let down?
Where do I start? So I've got one memory of my biological mother. She said, "I'm going to come and pick you up with my boyfriend," and I must have been about 5 or 6. She was going to pick me up, and they were going to take me away to Disneyland. And I was standing at the bottom of a close. For anybody that doesn't know what a close is, it's like a block of houses, and you've got like a door down the bottom, might be a safety door, push a buzzer to get in. So I was standing at the bottom of this close with my wee suitcase and a wee knitted, I remember it clear as day, wee knitted Robin Hood cuddly toy thing, right? And I'm sitting there waiting, and she never once turned up. Not did she turn up at all. Um, and then don't know what happened, reasons why or anything like that, but she never turned up. And I was just standing there for about an hour waiting with this wee toy, and I was crying. So that was one time. Um, School, I always felt like I was always let down. Felt like I was let down by teachers and stuff like that because the teacher would bully me, or even sometimes my family. I was, I know I'm wrong in it, but like there'd be times where I was getting bullied, and then I'd come in and I go, "Oh, you probably deserved it. You've probably done something, and you deserved it." And it's like, regardless if I deserved it or not, I had the shit beat out of me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So you should be going, "Are you all right? What happened?" Like, right, okay, like, right. Just don't do that again. Try not to do that. You know what I mean? But it was more, um, you probably deserved it. That's why you
yeah,
got the kicking. Okay, right. Thank very much. Um, so yeah, it's but yeah, weird one. But like I say, the family was very supportive of me. So they
mm.
were. And there's a lot of care and love when I was younger.
I mean, with that, uh, with again young Will, that experience with your mum with holiday situation and so forth, does that still impact you now?
I wouldn't say so now. Um, Now I've come to terms with that. I'm a grown ass man. I'm like fully grown adult now. Maybe in my teens it did, but not now. I've came to terms with that a long time ago. Um, and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, so they say.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, this is it, is it's again, when you're a child, you associate to have that free spirit, don't you? That you have your
Yeah,
life in front of you. You always want to crave to become an adult in that sense, and you think,
yeah,
"Oh, adult life's going to be great." But
yeah,
then, I mean, I always used to be told is that with school, one thing that always was told to me, school will be the best days of your life.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, is that an overused cliche? Is that true? Is that what's your takes on that?
I would say that school is definite. Well, for me, it wasn't the best day of my life. Um, I'd probably say school can be, depending on the way you are, it can be easy.
Yeah,
It's like if it someone like yourself or myself, it's going to be hard, um, especially with the way kids are, because kids can be really nasty when you're younger.
yeah,
So
they
they
can
can,
prey on it, can't they? They can prey on the
yeah, they
vulnerabilities.
see one wee thing that sticks out, and they just hammer you and hammer you and hammer you for it, big time.
Yeah,
And will it be through physical or verbal abuse? It's it can be very detrimental, and it can end
yes,
up traumatizing you in the future, type thing, and damage relationships in the future, and then you can get into the wrong groups and then go down the wrong tracks and stuff. It's just it can spiral.
yeah. No, I totally can agree with you on that. I mean, with teacher escapade that I used to go through, being told of you're going to be a failure, you're not going to be good for
Yeah,
anything. You know, it's
yeah,
still sort of fuels in the back of my mind, and it was only
mhm,
until I'd say 4 years or so ago I used to think, you know what, sod that, in inverted commas. I'm going to use that as fuel as motive to push forward
yeah.
now and prove a point, like and I think that's when psychologically things can change. Your attitude to life changes somewhat, doesn't it?
No, totally. Like I was always told at school, you're not good enough. You'll never come to anything. Um, you'll be lucky if you're a bin man. But then I went on to have my own DJ business, help a friend run a printing business, uh, done lots of things, done volunteer work all over the world. Well, I say all over the world, done lots of volunteer work in the UK, volunteered overseas in Ghana and West Africa. So I've probably done more with my life than most people have and experienced more than most people have, kind of on both sides of the spectrum. So DJ'd in Napa, but also I've been homeless as well. Um, done been through the whole suicidal thing. Tried that twice. Um, yeah, it's I've got varied experience of
Yeah,
all sorts of different aspects of life, so I can appreciate everyone's background more from everything I've been through.
yeah, and I can empathise and share your thoughts on that, Will. Definitely. Um, life is just. I mean,
A
how would
bit,
you? I was going to say, how would you describe it? Because I mean, I used to say, well, it's just like a simulation. You don't know what you're going to get in a sense
yeah,
of it can be completely up here with joy and up down here with lows.
yeah,
How
yeah.
would you describe life in a nutshell in your perspective?
From my perspective, life in a nutshell, it's like an egg, um, because it's very delicate and it can crack at any minute.
Yeah,
So it can. The slightest wee thing can crack it, and then your yolk's everywhere. Um, but it can be the most amazing, most exciting, most wonderful experience ever as well at the same time.
yes.
Um, and to quote off of Vanilla Sky, you can't appreciate the sweet without the sour.
Mm, I like that. Yeah,
It's a good. I love that quote. So I do, because if you've got sweet all the time, you don't go through any pain, and you've got happiness and everything's going well, you're never going to appreciate anything. If everything's
No.
fed to you on a silver spoon, you don't know what it's like to work hard. You don't know what it's like to do this, or go through this, or go through that. Whereas if you've been through some sort of pain in your life, then anything that comes to you, you're going to appreciate it when it's good.
Yes. And make
And
the most of every opportunity as well.
yeah, so now I try and look at the smallest of positives. Even something like the, when I was homeless, actually, one of the things that I looked at was, and it reminded me of when I was doing a bit of rock climbing when I was at school, or abseiling or something like that. I was on this big rock thing, right? And I must have been about 50 feet off the ground, or 50 meters off the ground, or something. And I was absolutely crapping myself. And then I seen this one wee solitary ant, and I was like, I started singing "Ants Can't Knock Down a Rubber Tree Plant" because I've got high hopes,
Yeah.
right? And anytime I start to struggle with things, I just think of an ant try knock down a rubber tree plant, and I think of that song, and I'm like, right, okay, and it gets me through. And
Mm.
that's, you need to look at the positives, no matter
Yeah.
how small they are, you know.
You've
But
got to take every bit of positive, as you say, even if they're for smallest gains, they can make a greater picture.
yeah, exactly. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes the negatives can be a bit much for me to deal with because I suffer from anxiety and depression. It might not seem like it because I'm smiling and carrying on, blah blah blah. But sometimes the negatives do, when they hit, boy, do they hit, and I don't want to cope with the world. I shut everything out. Like, it can be really hard, like really hard at times. Like 4 years ago, my adoptive father, he passed away,
Sorry to
um,
hear.
and that hit really hard. So
Mm.
the later years, probably the last 5 years of the life with him, um, we started to get on when I was younger and growing up. With a bit of a tumultuous relationship. Tumultuous, it's a big word for me. Um, and then he passed away, and it's that thing where you don't know what you've got or appreciate what you've got until it's gone.
Mm. Yes.
And like, he was very old school of the way he would try and motivate you was to put you down. So it's like, ah, you're this, you're that, you're that, you're this, you're that. And I always thought it was like it was just getting on at my case. After he passed away, it's like I had this weird epiphany of, actually, do you know what? I actually miss that because that was his way of trying to pick me up and help me move forward and stuff like that. And it's when you get older and things like that happen, you start to look back and have realizations of certain things that happen throughout your life, and you look at things in a different light. And
Mm.
like, I look at things totally different now since that happened. Like,
Yeah.
for 2.5 years, I was struggling massively. I would, I stayed in bed, like, I had like a pure full beard, my hair was long, just, and then I became a bit rebellious. I ended up with a blue mohawk and then a red mohawk at like 40-year-old. So I'm like, what's happening? Um, but yeah, it can
Yeah.
be pretty life changing.
I think that's it. Is again with life, it's a roller coaster. There's the ups, there's the downs, and there's
Yeah,
twists and
totally.
turns. And with that, in them twists and turns, it's how you can cope with them twists and turns.
Yeah.
Um,
So yourself, how did you deal with it? And what
with
was
the
the hardest part for
what?
the dyspraxia side of things? What was
So
hardest for you?
the hardest thing with that, I suppose, was people not understanding.
Mm,
People taking advantage of the situation or being rude about the situation. if I can use the word discriminative, maybe it was
Yeah.
borderline because they was just it was I would say in school it was horrendous where I had that one teacher that used to make me look like I was a fool and I stood
Yeah.
like a sore thumb in front of the whole class, like, you know?
Yeah.
And to have experiences of like I couldn't do a piece of homework one time, so he used to say I was tying my mum by the apron strings because she wrote in a letter saying I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Was very difficult. To be lambasted for not being able to catch a ball in, like, you know, when we
Mm.
was doing rounders, he sarcastically applauded, saying that I can hardly catch a ball in front of a whole class. It was intimidating, you
So you
know.
weren't good
And
in goals then?
yeah, sorry,
You weren't good in goals then?
no, definitely not, definitely not. I wasn't a
So
keeper,
you're a
mate.
goal so you're a goalkeeper coach is what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, that to be fair, something for future. No, I'll be like, this is how to catch a ball, lads.
Uh,
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I couldn't help that. It
No,
just
it's good. It's good to have a bit of humour, mate, you
uh,
know? Um, and that's it. I think it's just again, when you get older, you realise that I I mean, don't get me wrong, I still don't like it if, I s I still struggle with, shoelaces, for example. Like, I'm
yeah,
27, I'm like, "Why's everything got to be shoelaces?" You know? Because again, when you're a kid, you could have just Velcro
yeah,
or laces, can't you? You know what I mean? So I've only just found shoes recently that might have been a bit more money, but there's just slip-ons, so you could call me lazy, but it
mm.
is what it is.
I'm the same with that top button of the shirt. I'm like, fuck it, can't get
Exactly.
this
So
thing.
yeah, I can relate. Exactly. And I think that was the difficult times, like you say, with primary school, they didn't want to know about it, everything like that. That was the hardest part, obviously, because I couldn't have a voice to say, oh,
Yeah,
boo one or words to that effect, you
yeah,
know what I mean? Because you're still
yeah,
young. But senior school was a lot more different. You know, they fully understood they was on for ball, pardon the pun, just a different attitude completely. And I
yeah,
think this is it, is seeing it now from an aspect because I used to do some like football coaching with special needs students, you know,
mm,
and I saw it in different lights. Found it really rewarding. But then I saw some staff that I won't obviously can't name names or anything, but it was just like there was an attitude of, "Can I be bothered to look into what this disability involves for that student, or am I not
yeah,
gonna be bothered?" You know? And you just
yeah,
think, right, in this modern day, it's so sad that
yeah,
because everyone should be on that same hymn sheet of, we need to see how we can accommodate this student the best way possible, you know?
yeah, yeah.
If I
Support should
was
be there.
told a student come to me and they said, "Right, he's got, yeah, ADHD or got, a form of autism or even dyslexia. I know it's no more well known out there, but for difficulties that come with it, I'd be invested into that in my own time to think, okay, right, I need to look into this, how to accommodate that student, you know,
Mm,
um, because there is overlap with any disabilities like that or learning conditions, however you say it. Everyone there is overlapping symptoms that correlate, you know, and
mm,
then there's other things that are so vastly different. And I enjoyed doing that work with the school. Shame that I'm not doing it anymore. But I just could see that it was becoming very rife. It was becoming very challenging because there was more students out there that was having like anger management issues and everything like that.
yeah,
And sometimes that's out of your remit because you don't know how you can control that in the best way possible, you know? So, in answer to your question with dyspraxia, going back to childhood, primary school was most difficult. Um, Senior school was different. College was the same as senior school, much more understanding.
mm,
But I was just such a shell. I didn't communicate with anyone at all. I felt so isolated because I felt like, I suppose maybe from that experience in year six, that I felt so isolated that no one would want to come and talk to me, you know?
yeah, yeah. It can have that knock-on effect, and it's it's a nasty feeling. So it is. Like you're just like, I feel the odd one out.
Yeah, exactly. You feel like, hmm. And there was times that it got to a stage that I took time off of school because I was complaining. Well, I had stomach pains or whatever, but it's just because I couldn't
Yeah,
face it on a social level. I felt so
yeah,
overwhelmed by with the buzz of school or whatever. And I remember there was one time in year five. I don't know if I said it in Luca's one that I did with him, but there was a teacher that used to say to someone in class each week it was someone different, and they used to have responsibility of hanging around with me at lunchtimes or whatever to make me feel that I had someone to talk to.
really.
And
Right.
you could see say in some ways that's good because she was trying to
Yeah,
get me to interact
yeah,
with other
true.
people in the class. But then on the other hand, it made you even look like you stood
Yeah,
there like
it
a sore
looked like you're
thumb.
more singled out. Yeah, I like myself. When I was in high school, I would always hang about with the janitors. So I would I felt the janitors were more on my level.
Yeah,
And one of the teachers took me under his wing, and then we started like a computer club. Then we started a movie club, so I'd go at lunchtimes and watch movies and stuff like that. Um, and I was obviously real appreciative of that.
yeah,
Um, so it's if teachers don't understand and catch it early on, it can be very hard, very very hard.
yes. Absolutely agree, and I
Okay.
think that's it. Is we had a similar thing with senior school. We had a club that they had. It was called Shots, so it was stood for schools helping out towards success. And
All right.
again, it
Okay.
helped with them any students dyspraxia, dyslexia, autism, Asperger's, you name it, to come together of a lunchtime and have time with each other, whether that be ball games, football, rounders, you name it. It was
Yeah.
just good to be together. And like you said, with your club, it gives you that sort of independence, but then you don't stick out like a sore thumb either, does it?
Yeah. Yeah. Like when I say I got bullied at school, right at high school, I ended up in hospital at one point, and I ended up with an injury that was basically kind of to a degree life changing. Um, yeah, well, I would say for an adult it'd be life changing. So I was 16 and I'd came out of one of my classes, my maths class, and there was three guys jumped me, started attacking me, and one guy held one leg, one guy held another leg, and the third guy was steel toe caps. Proceeded to run up and toe punt me right in the knackers.
Oh,
Right, I passed out and I ended up getting dragged downstairs, and they done it one more time. Um, I didn't think anything was up after it. Obviously, I was like, "It's fucking sore,"
yeah.
as you do. And then, like a couple of weeks later, I end up getting rushed into hospital. So I do. I'm in the back of my dad's car, one leg up here, the other leg over here, and just trying to find a comfortable way to lie. So got taken into hospital and found out what had actually happened is the cord that's attached to one of the testicles,
Yeah.
testicle had actually twisted round. Hey, Russian guy. Um, the cord had actually had the testicle on it. The testicle actually twisted round on that cord. If you think
Oh,
of conkers or
yes.
I was going to say a yoga, a swing. So when you spin a swing round, yeah, think of that. That's what happened, and it damaged the testicle, and it had to get removed.
Oh, wow.
So obviously, later on in life, it's had effects.
Yes.
Um, when it comes to relationships with females, they go, "That's not right. You're
Mm,
weird." Yeah. Um, Also, potentiality of possibly not having kids as well.
bless your soul. That sounds quite,
So,
well, traumatic. I mean,
uh,
I don't know if you're aware, but I had testicular cancer myself
right,
going back
okay.
in 2018. So I had to have one of the testicles removed. But then
So
all
you're
them
like
fears,
me. You're
Yeah,
like me. You went through the quick weight loss of a stone later, then.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. I feel like now. Yeah.
I'm not 15 stone. I'm 14 stone now. Yeah, the result.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Um,
I was. I got the nickname of Wob because of it. Like all my friends started calling, and I was called that, and it was they were bullying me for a bit because they thought, "Ha, that's funny. Call him Wob, Willie Wunbo."
yeah,
It's like looking back at it, I'm like, it's quite funny now, but at the time, yeah, nasty wee bastards. But
I know what you mean though, because I used to instead of because I was around doctors a lot, I used to say we had to do this to your. Sorry, Luca, this is I suppose no filter, but there's like
oh,
they said,
sorry,
but it's
sorry,
just
Luca,
like in a sense, like it was
we're being
no
real.
no ball, but every time they kept saying ball,
Uh,
I was like, please don't say ball, just say square. It's a different way of channeling my coping with
uh,
it, I suppose, at the time. It's like, um, yeah. So in that, but on going to the serious nature of it, like you say, later on
yeah,
in life, you have all them feelings. I
yeah,
was 21 when I was diagnosed with that, and you had that in, like you say, very young life. All them sort of things run through your head, and
yeah.
again, if you've had that in experiences, it's something that I've always felt like, well, I'm one ball lighter, everyone will notice, but
Well,
is that your
because
mind?
you float up the stairs, so you do.
Yeah, sorry?
You float up the stairs, you run fast. It's like, why is he running so fast?
Yeah, exactly. So I
Sting
think
like a butterfly, float like a bee. See what I mean? I can't help it. Just things
yeah,
pop
I'm
out.
gonna think of this when I come off the pod
Uh,
tonight.
it's like
Um,
the guy who was playing rugby, and like I used to play rugby, and I seen a guy actually playing rugby. Obviously, I seen a guy playing rugby because he's playing rugby, but he got a stud right down his sack, and one of his bollocks actually fell out,
that's
and
what I heard about
they
that.
had to put
Yeah,
it back in and sew it all back up, and then the guy just went back on and played. I was like,
it it's
"Tiff,
I'm not
tiff."
gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it.
Crazy. I've seen that happen at football as well. It's like, what?
Yeah, it is
Crazy.
crazy, but I think in I think this is it though. I mean, I was talking to someone about it only yesterday, and there's been a few people that have come to me, even some former players of mine have come to me and said need a bit of advice, because again, it's men's health and that.
Yeah.
But let's face it, being open, honest here, there's a lot of talk about men's health, but it comes when I say with like for your anatomy, if you put it that way.
As long as they're not asking what do you do with this margarine, then you're all right.
Yeah, I think this is it. It's you say with prostrate though, it's a very they cover prostrate cancer an awful lot, don't they?
Yeah.
But there's not enough recognition for testicular issues, is there really?
Yeah. Nah, like even now, like I've still not had a doctor go, "Oh, you should check yourself here, check yourself there," and like I had to look it all up online. I was like, right, okay, because obviously with what happened to me, it's made me more aware of the situation with myself. So every now and again, I'll have a wee fumble, and I'm like, "Yep, that's all fine. Yep, that's all right. Yep, that feels
Yeah,
right. Yep,
exactly, and that's what they say, fumble.
uh,
It's
have a
best way
fumble."
to check. Have a fumble, and I think this is a message to any men listening out tonight as well. Just check your balls, lads. Because you never know. You need to be sure that there's nothing untoward going on. And, even if you're not sure, speak to your GP if you can. I know that's
Yep.
easier said than done, but they're your first port of call, and then they can refer you anywhere that you need on that.
I'm sorry. First thing that went into my mind, Joe, when you said don't check your balls, there's a guy standing in the mirror going, "You naughty, naughty boy."
Sorry. Yeah.
Don't do that again. You don't belong there. That's what I normally do when I sit down in my. It's like, don't do that.
Yeah, I think that's it. Maybe that's what I should say to myself.
Uh, What you doing there? Lift to the side a bit.
But
Look us going, be like, what the hell are they talking about?
exactly.
Sorry,
It's
Luca. Uh,
so if we go back to
yeah, let's get back in track.
yeah, if we go back to um your schooling times, like, so you said
Yeah.
that you used to be, so did you used to be excluded and everything like that? And as you said, or did you feel that you was
Um,
isolated? And how did you feel
yeah.
with your peers in the sense? Did you feel that you
So
was cut off?
yeah, I felt like I was always the last one picked in the teams
Yep.
all the time. Always the last one, whether it be football, basketball, netball, um, whatever. I was always the last. Or if it was like group work you done in classes, whether it be like something stupid like maths or reading books or projects and stuff, I was always the last one to get picked
Yep.
because no one wanted me in the group. Because they're like, oh, it's Will, he's stupid, or he's silly, or whatever the case was. Just prime example of the way I was there. Um, so yeah, and then teachers would single me out by sitting me outside of the classroom. Um, so I'd be like, right, okay, we don't want you in the class today. Just sit out there at the table, and they you pick your table up and take your table out, and then your chair, and you sit outside in the classroom in a corridor yourself. And I go, there's work, do your work. Not once did I ever do the work. I just sat there looking at the window going, na 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 na.
Yeah.
Not once.
How did you feel
Happened
on that?
all
Like,
the time.
did you definitely feel that you was singled out? I know it's preempting what you're saying, but is that how
Oh
you
yeah,
felt like?
like yeah, because I would always smash my head off the table or smash my head off the wall or something like that.
Right.
And they always thought it was a cry for attention, and misbehaving at school, a cry for attention, and maybe to a degree it was because I wasn't around Andy. I was just wanting a wee bit, but it was more through frustration of I can't do this. Like
Mm,
whatever you're asking me to do, I cannot do it. Like for instance, algebra or
yeah.
Pythagoras. The, even now, I'm like, what is that? You know what I mean?
Let's face it though,
Um,
if we can unpick that just for a second, when have we needed to use Pythagoras' theorem in real
exactly,
life?
exactly.
Hardly ever, to be fair.
Yeah, go into a shop and go, can I get that carton of milk for the price of 4 to the power of 1 and 512 and ZY?
Exactly. They look at you and think,
You're
"What?"
like,
Yeah.
did that get to pal? What are you talking about?
I think that's it though, is
Okay.
when you're I mean, again, with that sort of environment, like you say, they was perceiving it that you was seeking attention, however you put it. But really, it's again very dismissive from teachers because they're not seeing for student as
Yeah,
a whole. There's
I think.
giving that attitude of naughty child or whatever, and it's so wrong, like.
Well, personally, I think teachers should actually be either there for educational purposes, but teachers should actually be educated on to look out for certain things in kids, and
Yeah.
they don't. And they should also have training for bereavement counselling as well, I feel.
Mm,
Because at a young age, you're going through bereavement, you don't understand what it is, and it could hit you hard, and you don't know why you feel sad, you know something's lost, but you're at a young age and you don't understand. When you're in the teens, you have obviously a better understanding, but you've not got the faculties or facility to the mental capacity to deal with it and
yeah.
cope with it. Um, but if it's somebody close like your mother, father, or brother, sister, then it's a hard one to deal with Like even
Yeah,
as a grown ass adult, someone that's really, really close, that's a hard one to deal with. But if it's someone like a friend, yeah, you're close to them, it's going to be hard to deal with. Might be a week or a month before you get over it, but you go right, okay, and then you deal with it. Um, like I remember my uncle John passed away. I went to his funeral, and then on the day I went to wake for about half an hour, and I had an exam at college, and I went to college and done the exam, but I failed it because my head wasn't in the right place. They knew I was at a funeral. They went, "Well, you have to come and do this exam regardless," knowing my head wouldn't be in
really.
it. You know what I mean?
And you was in
You
college
need
then,
to
so
have
you
the
was what,
understanding.
16,
Yeah.
17?
So I was, what age was that then? No, I think it was actually about 22, 21,
22.
22. Yeah, 21, 22.
Yeah, and I think this is it, is grief affects everyone differently as well, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's and as you say, with exams, I think again, like you say, if your head's not in the right space for that, it's a very
yeah,
unfair way of judging on that day if you put
yeah,
all the work
exactly.
into it. So
And also people learn in different ways. And like for myself, I was more a physical learner.
yeah,
Theoretical, I was terrible. Like ask me to write an essay, bad chance of that ever happening. Um, you ask me to speak about it, I could speak about it till the cows come in. Ask me to write it down on a piece of paper. You're lucky if you could get 2 words off me.
yeah,
Um, if you ask me to show you how to do something, I'll show you how to do it, no bother. And that held me back. It caught like I would have probably HNDs, diplomas, and all that. If it wasn't for that, I'd be a qualified fitness instructor and stuff. If it wasn't for that, but people learn different, and with the whole bereavement thing, it's a piece of advice I was told was let yourself grieve, and I'm like, and probably quite a lot of people like that as well. If they get told like that, what the hell do you mean let myself grieve?
yeah, because it can
What the,
mean anything,
what
can't it?
what does that even mean? Where
Yeah,
do I start? And it's like, but the best, like, just go through every emotion. Let yourself be emotional. Will it be hatred? Because you're going to go through all this anyway. You'll think, was there something I could have done?
mm,
Was
yes,
there something they could have done better? I hate you. I hate myself. You feel alone. You feel you're too much for people. You go so many different emotions.
yeah,
So you do. Um, and the best thing you can actually do is just talk to people,
mm.
regardless if it's bereavement or depression or whatever the case is. Best thing you can actually do is talk to someone, even
Talking
if
is
it's
the best
somebody that's
therapy.
indifferent. Yeah, if it's someone indifferent or a friend, someone that's just going to listen there and just get it all off your chest, it's the best way to do it. It really is.
Absolutely. I mean, in when you was going through all that at school and everything like that, who was the main source of support for you in that time?
Um, no one really. Didn't really like the way I would deal with it was playing football. I would play football every day, or I'd be listening to music.
Yeah,
So that's how I dealt with stuff. Or I'd play rugby or something like that. I'd go to rugby at the weekends and take my anger out on people in rugby. Because like just tackle people hard. Or I'd punch a wall, or I'd smash my head off a wall, or a table, or something. I'd just take my anger out in the football.
yeah.
Um, I
That
never
was
really
your
had.
release, was it? Big time.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't really have anybody that as such I could talk to about this is the way I'm feeling. Um, and at the age, I wouldn't have been able to verbalise it either.
Mm,
I would have. Whereas now, Sundays, I'll be like, listen, I'm dealing with this right now. I need somebody to help me with it. You know what I mean? But at that age, you don't have the mental capacity to verbalise it unless you're like fucking the brains of Britain type thing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, if there was anything going on at school, if you felt yourself getting into trouble, or that you was, like you said, if so, how can I put this? If you was causing trouble at school, say, what would the discipline approaches be like at
What?
home? You,
What?
yeah, you're a good soul.
I was always a good boy at school. Um, do you know, I actually just bumbled my way through every day at school. Like,
Yeah,
I'd go into school, get bullied, get a kicking, and then the next day I'd go in as if nothing happened.
yeah,
Um, and that's probably why teachers seen me as trouble because I never took anything serious. I got to the stage where I was just like, "Ugh, what's the point?
mm,
Why am I even here? To get bullied?" There's some
yeah.
teachers I would get on with, subjects I'd be interested in, um,
What was
but I just
subjects you was
bumble
interested in?
through. Sports and computing.
Yeah,
Like, I always wanted to do coaching or fitness or something like that. And IT just computers were just coming on the scene at the time. So you had like
yeah,
your Mac, your Series One Mac and stuff like that. It's like computers play games. Yes, that's for me. Thank you. Um, so yeah, I was more interested in that. Um, tech studies as well. I was quite interested in how to build things in graphic comms because that was about pneumatics and stuff like that, that sort of thing. And
yeah.
science. I loved science. Absolutely loved it. For years, I wanted to learn quantum physics, but I thought, "Oh, I need to do maths. That's never going to happen." That's that. Patch that one. Bombed out with that. So
Yeah,
yeah, I loved my sports. I was always like in badminton classes, in the chess class as well. Loved chess. Loved playing chess. And music.
what music?
Well, I'm a rocker,
A
so
rocker.
I love my rock and my metal, but I like a bit of classical as well.
Yeah,
So I like all sorts. Can't stand happy hardcore or I want to be happy and I want to get stoned, all that stuff.
yeah, I
Uh,
know what you mean. Yeah.
I'm more stuff where people put blood, sweat, and tears into it, type thing.
So, if you question is now, if you saw a young child and they was getting bullied, what would you say to them? What would you do to advise them to steer them in the right path, maybe, or just advice, or just yeah,
What would I do? I'd probably lock them in a cupboard and bully them a bit more and hit them with apples.
wow,
Take me serious. What? No, I would I would actually sit down with them and find out what's actually going on. So why they feel the way they're feeling, what the cause of it is. Um, have they actually spoke to anyone about it? Is it the first they spoke to someone about it? Um, how it makes them feel inside, as in their head. Are they feeling like they don't belong or they shouldn't be here type thing? If they feel they're okay and explain to them it's okay to not be okay. Um, and try and help them gain some sort of confidence and have that person there for them to confide in. If it's myself or someone else, a family member, their sportive family member, whatever the case is, um, just let them know there's support there for them.
yeah, no, that's it's very sound advice. I think this is it. Is I think these days as well with for lots of social media now having an impact um, with all sorts
Yeah,
that can happen behind the scenes as well. That can be quite toxic, can be quite intimidating, can't it, for
no,
a lot of young minds as well if they're being bullied off
yes. Social
school and
media's an amazing thing. It really is, but at the same time, it's also a very toxic thing. And
Yes.
kids know how to use it for the toxicness, know how to use it for the positive stuff as well. But if there's an opportunity for them to be toxic to someone they don't like and turn things on them and make their life an absolute misery and living hell, that's the best way to do it. So it's,
Yeah.
they can beat them up, bully them at school, and all the rest of it. That's all well. But as soon as it goes to the social media stuff, that's when things really start to escalate, because it could be taking photos they don't know about, or they've sent somebody sent a photo to them. They go, "I'm going to post that one so everyone knows they're a video," and then they get all the names of the day, and then it just filters down, and then the family gets abused for it as well, and just
Thing
it's a
is,
dangerous
this,
game.
this is another thing as well with social media because if you called it hiding behind the screen, you wouldn't dare
Yeah,
say that to someone to face, would you either?
yeah,
Like, that's where it's got so. It's like a poison. I don't know if it's saying, but poison apple, I suppose,
yeah.
because
A
young
poison chalice, a poison
poison
chalice.
chalice, yeah, it can affect young minds, and let's face it, as you say, it can make you feel overwhelmed, it can make you feel despondent, it can make you feel I don't want to go to school, and then you lose that
Yeah,
social corner, you lose
yeah,
out on other things then, and then you got to have. I mean, when I was getting bullied by my teacher, for example, I couldn't confide in my mum to talk about it until it was very late on because I didn't know what
yeah,
her reaction was going to be. That was one thing, and then the other part of me was like, I'm scared that I'll be grassed up, told that I was grassing up for teacher,
yeah,
because
mm,
that's them sort of feelings that you have when you're young, because
yeah.
it's all about trust, isn't it?
I think the whole trust thing's hard to get, especially when you're a kid. Like, when you're a kid, you trust everyone, no matter who they are, because you're a kid, you don't know any better, and you're like, that's my friend, that's my friend, that's my friend. That wee guy with the sweets over there that's offering me a sweet and a deli, they're my friend as well. And they're no, because you don't have that understanding and mental capacity. Like, this is wrong and that's wrong.
Yeah.
But you have the capacity where you know when you're doing something wrong to somebody, you know, and it just, as I say, it can snowball and snowball. And then it's a case of, it's not just the I don't want to go to school, it's I don't want to leave the house, or I don't want to leave my room, or I don't want to eat. And then it gets to a stage where I don't even want to breathe.
Yeah.
It's just find a way to go, you know what, I can't deal with this pain anymore. I need to get rid of it.
Mm. It becomes a vicious cycle, and then
Mm.
you. I think that's it. It was only until a psychologist that I was under before, and he said to me, "You said that you had stomach pains and everything like that. You might not have felt at the time to try and get off school, but probably there was real pains in a sense because you were so psychologically traumatized
Yeah,
that you don't realize." And it made me think in a different perspective. It made me think like, actually, he's got a point there. And then I used to be called for skiving or whatever because, I was just making these phantom
yeah,
pains in inverted commas. But it has such an effect from your mental health, which is a very important thing. Mental health correlates into physical health, and physical health can
yeah,
correlate into mental health,
exactly.
can't it?
Yeah, it's like you've got to learn to love yourself, but how do you even learn to do that if you've
Yes,
got somebody constantly beating you down? There's no chance that's going to happen. Absolutely no chance. If you've
no,
not got anybody there going, right, okay, well, you're capable of doing this, and it's just, you're not good enough, you'll never do that, you'll never come to anything, you're never going to get to where you want to be in life, or even just start to have a life, because you've got that negativeness. It's like, there was a scientific experiment, right, of fleas. So you've got like millions of fleas, and you see them like jumping up like 6 foot in the air. But they put them into a jar, right? and then they put the lid on a jar and left them there for 3 weeks. Fleas were jumping up, jumping up, jumping up, jumping up. Then after 3 weeks, they take the jar off. Fleas were jumping up, but they wouldn't go any higher than what that lid was because they've been, oh, I forgot the word, but basically been trained into this is your parameters, this is all you can do in life. And then what happened is when the fleas had little baby fleas, they were the exact same. They wouldn't go through that threshold.
Yeah,
So it gets filtered down through DNA. It's crazy. So
it
it
is
is.
crazy, really. Yeah, and that's an didn't know about that experiment, and thanks for sharing that with us. Y
It's
you know,
like the mind's such a strong thing. It's unreal.
that was a point that I was just gonna bring up is don't realise how strong, in a sense, the brain really is, but it has
Mm,
so many different actions that it can cause, and it can
yeah.
cause, there's the stuff in your body that can make you happy. There's things that can bring you real crashing back down to earth. But then
Yeah.
it can control for certain things other in your life with your movement, how your emotions, as we're going back to, it
Mm.
controls so many different things and it's so volatile. And I suppose it's like a boxing blow. Is that the right way of putting it? That for,
Probably, yeah. Yeah, it's like Rocky.
yeah,
Keep getting hit, and just keep getting up.
but then the
Type thing.
brain can only take so much, can't it?
Yeah,
You know.
exactly.
So with that in mind, I mean, what we was just saying there in terms of your life with the childhood, which you've covered quite a lot about, and I appreciate you opening up about it, and we do, everyone that will be listening as well. But with that as your childhood then and social media, going back to that point just briefly, if you had social media back in your time as childhood, what would you have done to try and avoid that situation?
If social media was about when I was a kid, Jesus Christ. Um, Honestly, I possibly wouldn't even be here right now. Honestly, the way I was with getting bullied, because the bullying would be a hell of a lot more, hell of a lot more. And thinking about it is actually quite scary. Um, because like even if I didn't get social media in the house or a phone or something, go to a library and then you're on it and you have your wee Facebook page, or back then it would have probably been at the start, so that would have been like MySpace or something like that. MySpace, my
MSN,
God.
weren't it, as
Yeah,
well?
MSN,
Yeah,
Yahoo chat. Oh, going right back now.
throwbacks, yeah.
AOL online. Um, yeah, like you'd have got absolutely tortured, so you would have. The only thing you could really do is come off, but even at that, even if you're not online, word spreads like wildfire online. So
It
social
does.
media, things would get said about you didn't even know, and that's
Mm,
what happens. So it'd just be the same as the way it is now. Except back then, I think things would actually be a lot worse back then because of the era, and the way things were when we were growing up. Things are so much different now.
yeah,
Um, Back then, it was probably more aggressive with the bullying. I would say, like more physicality.
yeah,
Um, and then you had more gangs and stuff like that. You don't really see gangs as much now. You still see gangs, but not to the extent that you seen back then.
mm,
Um, and gangs would probably be a lot bigger as well because they have that social media. They'd have a social media presence of some sort.
yeah,
Um, and now the way things are with the police, like at times the police are scared to even do anything because they've got so many regulations and rules. They can't do this, they can't do that. Whereas back then, then they give a damn. Somebody needed a slap, they'd go and give them a slap. type thing.
Yeah,
Whereas now the hands are tied with certain things. They need to get
absolutely they are.
evidence,
Yeah.
even if it's there in daylight and it's all over a wall. They've actually done this. They can't actually do anything. They need to be caught red-handed.
Mm.
Crazy.
It is a crazy
That's-
world in that respect at the moment. I think as well is like going back to that point and referring. If it was in the past, if there was something said, then it would just have been a word of mouth. You wouldn't have had
Yeah,
evidence there, say on
yeah,
Snapchat,
exactly.
Instagram, all them different apps, like
Yeah,
and it's become very I don't know. It's become a very harsh world out there, and
yeah,
people seem to be less forgiven now as well because it's
yeah,
plastered anywhere, you know.
yeah. People
So
don't forgive or understand things as much now.
no,
And I'm probably wrong in saying this, and a lot of people I know disagree, but now I think the younger generation sound like a really old man here. The younger generation, like in their 20s, not so much 20s your age, but like early 20s, teens and stuff like that, with the way they're brought up, the world seems as if it's getting stupider. It's getting a lot more non-intelligent, if you know what I mean by that. You understand
I
what I mean?
understand what you're saying, yes, and I do think as
And
well there is a lack of discipline these days as well.
yeah, there's no discipline. There's a lack of respect. You don't have like I
No,
remember when I was a kid, you
very,
said boo to an adult, you'd be scared. So
yeah,
you're like, oh, I'm going to get my head kicked in here if I say this. Now kids don't care. They're just like, you know what? You're getting it. You're like, what are
yeah,
you doing, pal? And you can't even do anything to them. So if a kid comes at you with a baseball bat or a knife and you hit them, you're looked at as if you're the bad one, and all you're doing is protecting yourself. You can't even do that. Because back in the day, a kid tried to do that, he would get an absolute pasting, or she would get a pasting for it. Now there's no respect because the way they've been brought up, the parents, because they probably didn't respect their parents, they don't know how to teach respect,
mm,
type thing.
yeah,
I
no,
might be wrong. Uh, I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but that's my view. That's my perspective on it.
no, I do understand and I respect what you're saying because noticing it now, I mean, it's like always, I suppose, when you're younger, for common grounds of gratitude or just saying please and thank you.
Yeah,
Was always used to be ingrained in saying you've got to always say please, you've always got to say thank you.
yeah.
It don't seem like the world's like that anymore in a sense that it's like an expectant thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
If they've
exactly.
got like the new iPhone 16, 15, whatever it
Yeah,
is,
exactly.
there's no thanks or anything. It's just like, oh, okay, get on with life, and
Yeah,
it just seems like there's no, as you say, no respect. It's getting quite a challenge now because they say about generation gaps, and I'm a firm believer
yeah,
there is generation gaps. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying, but you're seeing it more and more. But there's a bigger gap now between the younger generation than us, say,
yeah,
and the adults now. It's so vast, isn't it?
yeah. Well, that's massively different. Like, I'd say probably one thing with the youth is they have probably a better understanding of things now. Like, I would look at 15-year-olds and 16, even 10-year-olds, and I'm like, I would never be like that.
Hmm.
So I would say the way things are now, a 10-year-old today would be like me at 15 or 16. A 5-year-old would be me at like 10. It's crazy the difference. It is
It's
absolutely
very,
crazy. And then when you look at the physiques of whether it be male or female, they look like adults. You can't tell the difference. It's so scary. Like I done security on the doors, and you'd have these 14-year-olds or 15-year-olds walking up to a door, and if you never checked the ID and you didn't actually look at them, you'd think it was like a 20-year-old girl walking up to you. Unless you check that ID, you don't know the difference.
that's where it's
It,
getting
it is
a huge
scary.
worry. It is scary.
Yeah. It's very scary. Like, I'll get people coming up and they'll be like, ID, and they're like 25-year-old, but they look about 16. And they're like, right, okay, in you go. And then you get a 16-year-old come up and you ask for the ID, and they're like, oh, come on. I'm like, and you're looking, it's like, this is a fake ID. What's your actual age? And they're like, oh, I'm 14. And you're like, right, get to.
But then this is it,
Scary.
that's where time's evolved on that. In past, if you was said of that, it might have been quite ridiculed and hot on it, if you like, to
Yeah.
challenge it, if you like. Now, that would be challenged on the other front. If the person's presenting that fake ID, say, they're challenging for people that's letting them in, say,
Uh,
because they're
it's not just
thinking,
that.
how dare you know what I mean? Why am I in for on, you know?
It's not just that as well. Like, because I've done the doors, I've seen a lot of guys where I see young girls walk in and they'll go, ah, she's all right. She's all right. Like, so she is. Just let her in. And I'm like, no chance. No
Mm.
chance. And then you see all the old guys leering over all these young girls, and you're like, need to keep an eye on that guy there. Need to keep an eye on that guy. And it's even like, you get it in schools now with teachers. I would hate to be a teacher. Like,
Mm.
I was doing DJ workshops, and I was dealing with kids from like 14 upwards to 18 in my late 20s, and I was like, I can't do this much longer. Like, it's just scary because the young girls, young age, very impressionable, and they think, oh, there's a guy, and I don't think I'm a good-looking guy by any means, but because you're doing the DJing, they think, oh, I'm going to flirt with him, and you're like, I need to get myself out of this situation because all it takes is for them to say, I've done one wee thing when I've not, and I've got the whole world coming down the top of me. It's
Mm.
scary stuff. So hats off to teachers, how they can deal with it, because I know I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I think this is it, is teachers that feel like their hands are tied now as well, I think, because of
Yeah.
the more challenging behaviours. And
Oh, yeah.
it's
Yeah, more
quite sad
aggressive
to
with
see.
the kids.
Yeah. But adulthood generally, I mean, now, how do you view each day? With everything that's happened in your past, how do you view each day now?
Well, since last year, each day is very different. Well, I say very different. Each day is actually the same as every other day, but I take one day at a time. It's the best way
Yeah,
to deal with life. Take one day at a time instead of thinking ahead and going, right, this is what I want to do. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to do that. This is where I see myself in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever the case is. I don't do any of that at all. I never really have. I, I used to say, right, this is where I want to be. Now I don't even do that because if I do that, it will stress me out. So
yeah,
I find it's better to deal with um, every day as it comes and
yeah,
whatever life throws at me, especially with having anxiety and depression, like this anxiety especially. There'll be some days where my anxiety is really crippling and I'll just be riddled and I can't even get out of bed because I feel as if I've gone a fight with Mike Tyson. My whole body's like so unbelievably tense. I feel like somebody, like there's five guys sitting on top of me and I can't move.
mm.
Um, and then like all the veins popping out my arms and stuff like that. It's like, what's going on here? So the
So,
best way
what
to
is
deal
your
with
coping
life.
mechanisms for days like that? How do you cope?
Uh, the way I normally do it is I'll try and put a TV on and listen to some music or watch the news. Try and find something to distract myself. I'll try and do breathing techniques. Um, Once I can actually move, I'll go have a shower and have a cold shower, like the whole Wim Hof technique. Do that stuff.
Yeah,
Um, Once I've done that, then I'll go out. I'll go to the gym or I'll go a cycle just to try and clear my head because I know myself if I'm doing cycle, it's physical activity, so it's something positive and it's
yeah.
beneficial as well, and it gets all your endorphins and that flowing, so it does. So and also I'm quite lucky because where I've ended up as well is very beautiful. So I can go down to the beach, which is like a 15-minute walk down the road, and then from the beach you can see the mountains and stuff like that. It's beautiful. But yeah, sometimes it's really hard and I can't actually deal with it. I still struggle sometimes with it. And it's
Yeah,
like that. I just lie in bed. I don't want to see the world. I don't want to see anyone. And I just hide under the covers and curl up into a ball. So I do.
yeah.
Just shut
I
away.
think that's it. Is again, one day at a time is the best approach. And
Yeah.
people might say, well, cliche or whatever, but it's not because that's how you've got to. That's how you find your way of coping with life. I'm the same, mate.
No.
You know, I've got to take it one day at a time because you never know what it's going to throw at you, what curveball, what snowball's going to be thrown.
Yeah. It's like
So I can
if,
relate to that.
if I need to do something, right? Like doing something like this, I can easily do that off the bat, no bother. But if I need to do something like tidy a certain part of the room up, or change something, or go and do something, I need like a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks or a month to mentally prepare myself to like take down a wardrobe or empty just one single shelf. It's crazy. It's or tidy a patch of the floor in the room, or I need to mentally be prepared because for me that's such a massive thing to do. And people
Yeah,
just go, "Oh, you're just being lazy." It's not. It's the way my brain is tuned. It's not through laziness. It's through my head's just going to explode if I think about that right now. I need
yeah,
to kind of prepare myself slowly over time to get to a stage where I can go, right, okay, right. I know what I'm going to do. I can prepare for that. I can do this today. Right, okay. And then get it done. And once I've got it done, I know it's fine and I know I can do it, but it's just get myself to a stage where I'm prepared to do it, if
mm,
you know what I mean.
yeah. No, absolutely. So, what is your goals? What's your aspirations? Is there anything on your bucket list that you'd like to achieve in the coming year, maybe 5 years, 10 years? Is there anything that you've got set out that you'd
Um,
like to achieve?
I would like to have a hot blonde with great legs on her, great body, be settled down.
That, that sounds like a plan to me, to be fair. I have to admit.
um, at the minute, I'm just trying to find my way still here in Greece. Like I say, I found my father. Found him last year after
Yeah,
searching. He never knew anything about me, so it was a shock for him as well to find out. Oh, I've got a son. Oh, excellent. Um, so still trying to find my way here. Settle in. I still feel like I'm living a dream. Is so like I wake up every morning. I'm like, where am I? You know what I mean? I've been here like
yeah,
8 months or something, and I still pinch myself. Um, it's just try and find a job once I've got because like I'm living with him at the moment, so get a job, get myself sorted out, get a place, learn to drive. So that's really my goals just now. 5 years time, uh, hopefully be in a secure job, decent money, and have a place and a car. I really
yeah,
guess. Like when I came here, I had the intentions of doing coaching because I've got my is it my level 1.2 goalkeeping badge,
yep,
goalkeeper coach badge. So I have via the SFA. So I was going to do that, but I need to learn the language. So that's another goal: learn the language properly.
so I say
Once
you
I
might
do
have to
that,
teach me how to goalkeep and catch a ball properly.
so what you do is put your hands
Yep,
up in a triangle. The ball comes towards you, right? And that's the best way. You look through the triangle and catch the ball. There you go.
there you go. Bosh.
Bonjour. All right. Bob's your uncle. Um, but I was wanting to actually do my own podcast, so I was,
Yeah,
um, and promote. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Thunder
that's
and
okay.
lightning here last night. Thunder and lightning last night. I couldn't get to sleep till like 6 in the morning. I'm shattered. Um, I would say. I was wanting to do a podcast of mental health. So I was, because obviously my experiences with suicide and stuff like that. I helped out with an organisation called Men Matter Scotland.
Okay.
Um, and they were prevention of suicide in the UK. That's the goal. But also they help out with drug addicts and alcohol abuse and that sort of thing. So I volunteered with them for a bit. Oh, I feel rude. Excuse me. I apologise.
It's okay.
Um,
No worries.
so I helped out with them for a bit, and I helped a few people just by listening or talking to them, um, and just getting to come out their shell a bit, because quite a lot of people were very introvert and very closed in because of the situation, and they come in, they look like wee mice, and they're like that way. They're like, "Hello, who's
Yeah.
here?" And then after spending like 2 hours of talking to me, they're like going crazy. Um, so yeah, I'm wanting to try and set up a podcast of my own at some point. So
Why not? Go for it. You've got nothing to
like
lose, my friend.
I done Green Sunrise. That's what the one was that I'd done the
Yeah.
talk on. And then I helped him as well do basically what you were doing, co-host. But I want to do something like that. I just need to try and figure out the ins and outs and stuff like that. So I do.
Yeah. Go for it. You've got nothing to lose, and I think you
Yeah.
would be perfect for a lot of people to reach out to. Definitely do feel that,
Well,
man.
I've started doing wee bits on TikTok, like mental health quotes and stuff like that,
Yeah.
for 30 seconds or 40 seconds or something. Like, it's okay to be okay, walking the line, silly wee quotes and stuff. But they resonate with people, and I always
They
try and make
resonate.
sure that I say something.
Yeah, and I
So I
think
do.
this is it, is people look into that and they might not acknowledge it, sorry, straight away, but then they'll think, "Hmm, I
Yeah.
can relate to that," you know?
And it's good when you get messages back from people and they go, that really struck a chord, and I would like to talk to you. Okay, that's what I'm here for. Not doing anything else at the minute. Talk to me. What's your problem? If you want, we'll give you a call or arrange a video link or something. Whatever the case is, just talk away. Because that's what
Yeah,
people really need, is somebody to talk to and somebody that'll just listen, you know?
absolutely. It's just that listening ear. I mean, a few things that go and cover, excuse me, in terms of adulthood again. I mean, you covered about with suicide and that. But was that your lowest? How old was you? Um, or what was your lowest experience in adulthood? Would you say was it that testing time?
Um, my lowest experience, I'd probably say, was things falling. Excuse me. Ah, room's falling apart. I would say, stop it, behave. Uh, Um, testing times, I'd say when my father passed away, that was really testing, and uh, when I was homeless, and the suicide. So I, basically, I say I had 3 suicide attempts. It's actually more than that. So one of them was I tried to hang myself 3 times. So that, I count that as one. First time, the rope snapped. Second time, the branch snapped. Third time, I thought I've done it, and somebody was going by where I was, and they seen me just as I fell. Them and their friend got me down, and I was like, "Fuck!" And then I would go places where I knew there'd be certain people, and I'd try and get into fights and stuff like that with them. Uh, and I'd have certain areas where I knew people would carry certain things. So one of the guys put a knife against my throat, and I had no care for my life at the time. And I was actually holding the guy's hand. I was like, if you're going to do it, just do it. You'll be doing me a big favour, pal. Just do it. Do it. and he freaked out and fucked off. And then if he sees me now, he crosses the road type thing. And then the last time was probably about 7 years ago. Yeah, 7 years ago. I stepped in front of a train. So I did. At the time, I had a lot going on, a hell of a lot going on. My relationship at the time was on the rocks, potentially ending. My job was on the rocks, ending. Potential of losing the flat I was in. I was getting chased after for debts that I didn't actually owe, that came to somewhere like £25,000 that I didn't actually owe. So that was a lot of pressure. Also, I just found out at the time potentially my father had cancer as well.
Right.
And it just all came to a head, and I was getting bullied as well in that job by one or two guys, and it just got too much for me, and I went, enough's enough, can't take it. And I thought, right, what am I going to do? I know, I'll get my passport, take my passport with me, so I've got ID on me. And I went down to the local train station, went on the tracks, walked along the tracks a bit, and there was bushes. I was like, right, jumped in the bushes, watched a couple of trains go by, just so I could get the timing of the trains for when they're going at the speed. Right, okay, I've got that sussed. Right, next train I jump out. So somebody must have seen me as they were going by, like a train driver, and he's radioed ahead. So I've seen a train coming, and it was going full speed. And by the time it got to me, it actually stopped about 4 or 5 foot away. So I'm on my knees screaming, for fuck's sake, hit me, just kill me, can't take any more, just end it. And I look up, and I can see the funny point of it, right? There's a conductor or the driver or whatever, and he's actually like taking a selfie, actually taking a selfie of him and me on this track, right? And I'm like, what the? Wee guy taking a selfie. And then the police came, jumped on top of me, and then took me off. Didn't get charged or anything, didn't get fined. And they sat down with me and talked to me and explained to them, and they
Was the
took me
police
to the hospital and
understanding
that.
of the situation?
Yeah, yeah, the priest was actually very understanding. They took me to the hospital. I was in the hospital for about a week and a half or something like that. For the first 3 or 4 days, I didn't even come out the room. I just stayed in bed the whole time. Then eventually, I came out the room and started to interact with some of the, I was going to say the customers or the clients, the patients,
Yeah.
and started to talk to them. And then one patient came in, young girl. She was about 18 or 19, and she'd been going through quite a lot of stuff. And she was very, very shy and very closed. And I took it upon myself to go over and start talking to this girl because she seemed like a nice enough person. So I managed to get her to start talking and open it up. And they said she's actually been in here for 6 months and she's never talked to Andy. And I got her to say 4 words. My name is whatever it was. And then as days went on, she started to open up a bit more, and then she started to talk to doctors and stuff like that and actually tell them what happened and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, right, I need to try and start doing something that involves mental health.
Yeah.
And then I kind of lost it a wee bit. And then when I lost my father, couldn't find anything to help me with bereavement. And then I came across Men Matter, went there, uh, and I made friends, two of which that I'm still really close, and Paul as well from Green Sunrise, which I'm still very close with now.
Yeah.
Um, and now I'm like, I want to do something where I can help people. Don't know how I'm going to go about it, but I want to do something. But even if it's doing like things like this, just talking, because I know that talking about stuff, it will resonate with someone.
Yeah.
Like for myself, like the way you are, I think that's inspirational. So I do with your situation,
Thank you. And you're an
everything you've been
inspirational fella
through.
yourself.
That's just because my hair, isn't it? Yeah.
No
um,
comment. No, but you are.
yeah. Like my story about finding my parents and stuff like that, I can see why that's inspirational. Um, but like, I don't really see myself as inspirational. I don't. I'm just a normal Joe Bloggs guy. To me, I don't think I've been through. I've been through a lot and I've experienced a lot more than most. But I don't think it's really any different from what other people have been through. You know what I mean? I try to stay
Mm.
humble if I can. Don't get me. There'll be times where I'm not humble. I'm like, I'm the bee's knees. I'm the dog's bollocks. But
Yeah,
when it's stuff like that, I'm very humble, and it's very rewarding when you see it can change somebody's life, especially
mm,
if you've got somebody that's very, very low, and they're at wit's end, and they're about to end it, and then you intervene, even if it's just saying hello, and it changes their perspective in life. It's
absolutely.
so rewarding, so
Yeah,
rewarding.
I can feel that on that front. Like you said, when you spoke to that young girl, probably the first person that as well maybe reached out to her, and
Mm,
you've got to take praise and credit for that because, you know, it you don't sometimes you want to approach, but you don't know if it's the right time or that. But you know in
yeah,
yourself, gut instincts when it's the right time to reach out to somebody, and
yeah.
that's like I say, a human quality and gift in itself.
Well, there was a guy when I was doing stuff in Men Matter. Uh, he played keyboards, right? I'll call him keyboard Timmy. Timmy! Keyboard Timmy, right? So he comes in and he starts playing the keyboard, and it was very quiet. So his thing was keyboards, and it was struggling with a lot of stuff, and he was very, very shy. And then me, with my sense of humour, and just because I can be very outgoing, if you didn't notice, and I'm very shy myself. I'm actually very shy, but he'd come in every now and then, and he was playing the keyboard, and he's like, "I would love to play in front of people."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Oh, we can arrange that sometime." He's like, "Oh, I'd really like to, but I don't think I could. It'd be very embarrassing." It's like, "Listen, you're great." So one day he was playing, and I opened the door up so everyone outside could hear, and he's sitting playing all these songs, and you're like, "This guy's like really amazing at the piano." And then they finished, and they went outside, and everyone's standing around cheering him, and a wee tear ran in his eye, and I'm like, I started to get upset with it myself. Like, my God, you could see the appreciation and how much it meant to the guy. You know what I mean?
Music is a
I'm like,
very powerful tool.
yeah, like his reaction was so profound. Like for me, I was like, I've changed this guy's life to a certain extent. Like, wow, for somebody to have just, I don't know, the power, but something that's so little and meaningful is crazy. And people don't realize that one action can be so powerful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even in
No,
like shaking somebody's hand, that's all it takes. A wee smile at somebody, that's all it takes to make somebody's day. You know?
no, exactly. It's just something, and it doesn't cost anything either.
Yeah.
No, I 100%
So,
agree. I think that's it. Is what we were saying about manners and that earlier. I just feel that you know people, unfortunately, not all people, but some have just forgotten that, and it does mean a lot to a lot of people to have them simple
mm,
um, is it mechanisms? I don't know if that's the right word,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, in terms of supporting others, where can others go to if they're for support if they're struggling? Because I used Samaritans in the past. I found them quite helpful because
Hmm.
they were quite a confidential service. But I mean,
Oh,
everyone's different. What do you feel?
there's loads of different things. Like I couldn't tell you off my top of my head. You've got Samaritans. You've got um, Andy's. Like in Scotland, there's a place called Andy's Shed, which is a place for drugs and alcohol abuse and stuff like that. Mental health. There's absolutely loads of them out there. You just need to look and find them online. You've got the likes of Men Matter Scotland. They do stuff for guys down south as well. There's another guy, bear with me a second, I'll actually be able to tell you. He's based in Scotland. He's actually been through a lot of mental health stuff himself. Um, where is he? It's not Billy. Then you've got the likes of Green Sunrise, they do stuff as well.
Yeah,
And you've got loads of different podcasts. Where is he? I've lost him. I can't find them. Like I say, there's absolutely loads out there that can help, and if you can find them, then tap into them and use them because
absolutely.
they're great, absolutely great. Um, William Hamilton, I think his name is. Is it Hamilton? William
Okay,
Anderson. That's it. William Anderson. Um, he was a like heavy on drug addict and alcohol addict and stuff like that. And he's turned his whole life around. Um, so you've got guys that have been through it all, done it all, um, and they're the best guys to actually get help from. So there, and there's lots of them out there. It's just
locating them,
searching
isn't it?
on,
Really,
yeah. Once you locate them, then that's you. So
absolutely.
it's,
And I'm sure we'll share it out there with this pod as well when it gets released. Um,
and then you've got guys like myself as well that do like we post now and again. Goes, if you need to talk, come and talk to us. We're here.
where
If you
can
need
they
an ear
find
to
you,
listen
Will?
to,
Where can people find
or in bed normally. Normally it's in bed. So I do things on TikTok every now and again. It's where there's a will, there's a way. Is what I say. Where there's a will, there's a way. There's also Twitter.
that?
Um, Tactical obsession because of Football Manager. Um,
Or big football manager fan as well. Snap.
yeah, yeah. So I do that. I'm actually going to be doing a stream on Twitch. So Tactical Obsession. You can find me on Facebook as well, just William Donnelly hyphen Antonopoulos. I'm also on LinkedIn, William Donnelly hyphen Antonopoulos. Can get me on Discord, Tactical Obsession. I'm all the other place. So, aye.
Lovely. Thank you for that. And one other question I'm going to ask is, for what signs can or should other people look out for if they're struggling?
What to help or as in general, I feel this way.
Uh, both. You can answer both in both
Both, right?
contexts.
So, for the way you're feeling, you might not notice it, but one of the flags for me was obviously my mood was going down, but also your your care. Now, when I say care, I mean like the way you look after yourself, like your grooming. Your grooming, that does not sound good. I groom myself. That is not a good term
I
to
know what
use,
you're
is it?
saying,
Grooming.
though.
Hygiene. That's the word I was looking for.
Hygiene. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Oh. I groom myself. Your hygiene. Jeez, oh. So my hygiene went downhill massively. Like, didn't brush my hair, didn't brush my teeth, didn't shower, didn't wash my clothes or anything like that. And then I always sat in the house with the curtains closed and stuff. People called me and I wouldn't answer the phone. Um, Food doesn't taste the same. You're just like, you don't want to do anything. You don't want to make food. You don't want to go out. You just lose interest in absolutely everything. And that's when you know, right, I'm starting to get somewhere. That mainly the hygiene, because every day you get up, you wash yourself, brush your teeth, blah, 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 blah. Once that starts going, then you know something's not right. If you're normally a happy person and people start to go, "Oh, I've not seen you in a while. Where have you been?" And you go, about. What have
Yeah,
you been up to? Not much. Oh, the last time I seen you, were doing such and such. Yeah, I'm not doing that now. And then you catch yourself like you don't have the energy that you used to have when you're talking. Like you're talking, oh, how you doing? Blah blah blah. Now it's just like, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. And you slouch a bit, and you don't have as much confidence as what you once used to have. Um, from the other side of things, if you're trying to spot it in people, if you know someone well enough, you will notice the change in them instantly. You'll be like, something not quite right here. And ask them, are you alright? Is everything alright? And they'll go, yeah, everything's fine. Don't ask them just the once though. Just go, are you sure everything's alright? They go, yeah, I'm fine. Ask them one more time, are you sure? Because if everything's not right, I'm here. I'm here for you. Let them know you're there for them. And they might open up to you about how they're actually feeling. Because quite a lot of people go, oh, you alright? And they go, I'm brilliant. Things have gone great. And you're like, not too sure. And they just let it go. And sometimes just going, things, and it might be a bit more exaggerated. Oh, yeah, yeah, it's great. And it's more exaggerated. That's like a wee kind of indiscreet or discreet cry for help, so it is. So ask more than once. Ask 2 or 3 times when you see the person.
sound advice.
Quick
Very
fire.
sound advice.
Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Are you sure you're okay? Yeah, 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 I'm fine. Are you sure now? And do it in different tones of voice. And they'll go, if they're not okay, they'll go, right, okay. If they're okay, they'll go, come on, are you taking the mic or whatever? And you know they're all right. Also, you'll see it in their eyes. You'll see it in their facial expressions as well. You'll know something's up in them.
Mm.
Or as you see somebody will be walking along and their head's down, right away you can tell somebody's the energy. You feel the energy, the aura of them. When someone's not feeling good, you can feel that energy right away, so you can.
You can feel like a sap's been taken out of energy, can't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Well, sound advice, mate, and thank you so much for coming on here for
oh,
Reflective
you're
Coach
welcome.
Podcast. It's been an absolute honour having you on. Refreshing honesty. Talked about an awful lot there, and I truly find you inspirational, and I'm sure many other listeners will as
You're,
well.
you're going to make me
So,
cry now.
but
Actually,
honestly,
I've got a question for you, right?
oh,
So,
yeah.
right. So, are you single and do you want to get married to? No, I'm kidding. So, how, how did you deal? Like, how did you get confidence, and how did you deal yourself with it, like sorts of trauma and stuff like that?
That's a very good question. Um, and coming on next week's episode, no, I'm joking. Yeah, on the cliffhanger.
Shh, that's a secret.
Yeah, it used to be told to me, like when I went through a stage when I was in a crisis myself, and I think it woke me up big time when I felt, dare I say, suicidal. I did, and this was going back. 2019, because I felt everything was getting on top of me then. I was still recovering from my surgery.
Mm.
Mum was in hospital because she had to have open heart surgery. Uh, my job with football coaching at the time was in tatters, if you like, because people were on my back because I wasn't getting results. And that was mainly
Did
coming
you have
actually
to a
from
manager?
parents, would you believe? Yeah, who'd be a manager, exactly. Um, but yeah, it took that one day, and I just walked out. I felt like I had enough. Went by the nearby woods, and I just felt that enough is enough. And
Mm.
then it got to a situation that I thought I need to try and snap out of it. But then I phoned for help, and I spoke to the police, and the police come out and helped me that day. They said we'll be with you in literally 5 minutes, and you'll see them head past you. So keep an eye out for them, drive away from 'em or whatever. Which, but literally, it wasn't 5 minutes, it was 2 minutes. They was rapid,
Mm.
literally, and they said, "Okay, talk to us. Do you want to talk to us? What's going on? Is everything okay?" And it was just for someone that was away from the internal circle of family dynamics, for someone
Right.
to reach out and say, "Are you okay?" Even though I was
Yeah.
in the right state and they knew with what I was going through. But just for someone to say that, it helped, and they said, "Okay, well, you're struggling with all this that you're going through. It's understandable, and who wouldn't be struggling in that situation?"
Yeah.
And as soon as they said that, I suppose maybe of who wouldn't, made me think in a different light, maybe,
Yeah.
making me feel not so alone in that respect. But I was under for crisis team for goodness knows how long, probably two,
Mm.
3 weeks, and they was coming into me
Mm.
daily to make sure that I was all right. But it was just there was again people that I could speak about my worries, concerns, and everything. And I think it was just that one time that I thought, no, like, after putting now I can see it in this light all these years on. I was thinking, hmm, got my mum here, got my grandparents that living with me, I had my uncle that was, living with us as well, but he was severely ill. And I
Yeah.
was just thinking, I can't go through with that because they all need me in that respect, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and I need to try and get through this. How, I don't know.
Mm.
I was getting texts left, right, and centre to do with football because I wasn't turning up and someone was running it for me. And I was getting called all sorts. I was getting, ridiculed and really vulgar language, I would say, really,
Yeah.
considering. Um, and I think it just came off like I didn't go back there because I thought it's not the right environment.
Mm.
Spoke to the owner, he was fine about it. And it just came to a situation where I thought, right, this is a different aspect completely. But I'm gonna get a new mobile phone number, keep in there who I want, family, friends,
Mm.
whoever, and then keep it for away from everybody else, like from the outside world.
Yeah.
And that helped me cope in a different light because it wasn't getting so
Mm.
on top of things.
Yeah.
And then it made me realise and reach out, I suppose, to them people who I needed to for most.
Mm.
And then it's only been over time that gradually I've been, speaking to more people again. Um, but I think that lowest time maybe knocked me into shape, thinking, okay, I need to get through this. And there's been times in the past that I felt I just can't cope with this.
Mm.
I'm overwhelmed. Uh, you know, I'm I'm
Mm.
deprived of myself. I don't feel comfortable within myself. But I thought, well, I've been in a worse situation than this. I've had to battle with cancer. I've had to, you know, fight with my mum being seriously ill. So I'm sure it will just pass through eventually. And I've clung on to, like you've said, each day as it comes. That's the approach that I take for it, really will.
Yeah.
I think tomorrow's a new day to put new energies into something else, to
Yeah.
make a new legacy in something or other,
Mm.
Um, and yeah, that's where my head's been at, I suppose. But
Mm.
I feel in for last year, my head's been in the best place it has been all my life because I've been able to talk to people like therapists, like other people,
Mm.
that has gone through difficult paths and opened up, and I'm glad that I've been able to meet you as well, like, to bounce off of and talk to and relate very much, because I think we've had similar life paths and journeys, haven't we?
Yeah. What I'd say is, here's a quote for you, right? Another Vanilla Sky quote, right? And it's not, we'll both meet in another life when we're both stray cats. It's every passing minute is an opportunity to make a new start.
It's very true. It's
Because
very
you can
true,
make
and
life whatever it is. You can change your life if you really want to.
yeah,
And you
that's
just
very
need to have, you need the willpower. That's all. If you have the willpower, then anything can be done.
absolutely that, and that goes to any listeners as well. So cling on to that, because that's very true and very important. And I'm sure that if you need to chat people, like you say, if it's away from your internal circle, get in touch through this channel, get in touch with Will on his socials. We're all here to help one another. Don't suffer in silence. That's the main message. And
Mm,
as you said, Will, it's okay to not be okay.
yeah. And also, if you can, find somebody that will be a mentor. Because if you find somebody that's a mentor that's positive, whether it be Jordan or Luca, myself, or whoever, somebody that you actually idolize, someone that's a positive energy, positive light, that can guide you, then that makes the world of difference when you've got that mentor, because they'll guide you in the right direction. So they will. I've been
Absolutely.
lucky. I've been lucky. I've had a mentor. He's a businessman called Steve Gaston, uh, who I've known since it's like, what, 20 now. So I've known him 22 years, going on 23 years. He's an ex-Mainstream Sound DJ. That's how I got into DJing. And he's mentored me basically half my life, so he has.
And they
So
can make all for little differences in your life. They really can.
exactly.
They're the unsung
And
heroes.
yeah. And if there's any negative, just get rid of them. Like, I done a kill of a lot of people that I knew, uh, just totally eradicated them from my life because they were negative. Because the last thing you need in your life, especially when you're going through stuff, is negative people pulling you down to their level. You want people to
Absolutely
try
that.
and be under you, support you, and push you up and onwards.
Absolutely, and that might be hard to realise when you're in that at that present time, but in the
Yeah,
long run, it is the best thing that you can do is find like-minded people that boost you up.
yeah,
So,
totally.
thanks for your time, Will, and
You're welcome.
yeah, we'll end it there. But remember, guys, check out, reach out, and there's no shame. Just be yourselves.
Yeah. I think we'll look. I'll put my links up on the page. Yeah,
Uh,
I
one
think
second.
so. I think you
Uh,
might tag us or something, won't you?
yeah.
Right,
Um, I'm just ending for recording 1 second because he can edit it about, you see, and then
right,
you know.
cool. Right.
But yeah, we try to be that group that can help be there for the players as a three, because I think you mentioned earlier, you want to have different characters in the changing room. You want to have different personalities. You don't want the same kind of people, because you're not going to be able to move forward. If you've got 10 people and they all agree the same things, you're going to get to a point in time where actually you're going to become unstuck. You need that one person to actually be like, nah, I don't agree with that. Or actually, we should try this. And I think that's why the huddle works, is we're all quite different as human beings. And I think you need three different people in there, because some players will naturally gravitate towards me and my personality, but equally some might go to the other two, and that's absolutely fine.